Yes, we are live. It's 8:03 p.m. A couple minutes late. Sorry about that, folks. Hey, just cords that get tangled. How's everyone's Tuesday night? Tuesday. So it's something I learned in broadcasting class in college. How to the proper pronunciation of some words, like the 10 o'clock news, not the 10 o'clock news, right? And Tuesday, not Tuesday, right? That's another one. Little things like that that stuck with me. I remember. Hey Ben, how are you? Glad you're back today again as well. This evening, we've got a young lady who's running for commissioner. I almost said mayor, but she's running for commissioner. And she is relatively new to the scene. Some people know about her, but for the most part, people don't. We only have a couple of 3 people like that. And the election for Brownsville, the mayoral race and commissioner race is May 6th with early voting starting in April. So if you haven't registered, please do so. Remember, if you don't vote, you suck. And you can't complain about anything. So, cast your vote. That's the only way changes are going to happen. So without further ado, let's welcome Ms. or Mrs. Linda Macias.
Miss Linda Macias.
Miss Linda Macias, how are you? Welcome to the program.
I'm doing good, and thank you so much for having me on the show.
It's so nice to see different faces. Over the years, sometimes we get to the same people are running and the same, but this time it's good to see a different face. And hopefully, everybody's got people want change for whatever the reason is, but we'll get into that in a minute. First off, you're running for commissioner of which district?
I'm running for District 2.
District 2, and your opponents are?
They are Miss Catalina Presas and Mr. Ernesto Lopez. So right. There are 3 opponents or 3 candidates in this race.
Yeah, we've got Cati Presas will be here on Sunday. And then Mr. Ernesto, he just emailed me the other day, so we're going to set that up possibly for this week or over the weekend as well. So they will be on here with also. So now, for those who don't know you, tell us a little about yourself. How did you come to be in this place where you are now, where you come from, and all that good stuff?
So that was such a mouthful of questions, but I'll try to break it down to the questions that I've been asked the most. And you just asked me that, right? Like, who are you? People have seen my signs around town, and although I've been a part of multiple nonprofits and I've been engaged in the community and volunteered at different community events, I also understand that not a lot of people may know about those things and may not know me as well. So with that being said, I really want to take this opportunity to thank you for being on this podcast, because it's spaces like this and podcasts like this that give the candidate the opportunity to let people know who they are and what they stand for. And with all that being said, my name is Linda Macias. I was born and raised in Brownsville, Texas. I am the oldest out of 3 siblings, And so if you're watching and you're an oldest, you know what that entails. Being the oldest comes with a lot of responsibility. You have to care for your siblings. You have to watch out for them. But most importantly, set the example. So I guess you can say that at a young age, I had to be a leader. And so, with that being said, it was important for me to set a great example. And I'm the first generational college graduate. And it was important for me to set that standard for the younger generations, not only for my siblings, but for my cousins as well. And so I did receive my bachelor's in criminal justice here at UTB. And I worked at the city of Bronzeville as a dispatcher. And so I did do that for a couple of months. And then I worked for the Cameron County Juvenile Justice Department, and I serviced at-risk youth populations, which inspired me to enroll into a graduate program. And so I received my master's from UTRGV. I am a licensed professional counselor, and I provide social emotional support. I'm also married to Dr. Hiram Lozano, and my husband is a physical therapist. We've been together for 8 years, and he serviced the geriatric and pediatric populations. And together we have 2 daughters, Robin and Madeline. And so Madeline is 3 years old, and Robin is about to be 11 months in about 5 days. Yeah, 5 days. So that's a little bit about who I am. You know, I wanted to share about my education and my career and also my family. And those are the values that I hold and are my motivation to be within this race.
Excellent. Now, what are, and I ask this of everybody. Well, I ask this of those who have not been in the political forum before. What happened in your life or recently? What caused you to say, you know what? I think I need to run. I want to be involved. I need to run for commissioner.
I never thought about running. Running for office was not a goal of mine. It's not something that I pictured myself doing. It takes a lot of courage to put yourself out there. But to be honest with you, the tip of the scale was learning about the Tenasca report, knowing that there was a project that was funded by the hardworking citizens of Bronzeville, and it fell through, and there were no plans in completing it, and they continued to charge us. So really that was the driver, and I was very vocal, and I spoke before the commission. And it's important to also have these conversations at home with family members and with coworkers, because a lot of people are not aware of the important issues that affect us directly. And so for me, that was like, okay, we can complain all we want on social media, but what are we going to do differently to make the difference? And I understand that our greatest voice is our vote. And with that being said, I decided to put my name on the ballot. And that's really my driver. I want to see change. I was born and raised here, and I'm raising my family here. And so my question to you, Manny, and to the people watching is, what are we going to do differently to make a difference?
Yeah, and that's one thing I've always talked about. You know, it's one thing to get people to tell me, "Hey, you got to come out, register to vote and then vote." But I still don't think that there's a hard enough of a drive to get people to actually vote. Because when you look at the actual voting numbers, when it's all said and done, and the population is this much, and then you only have this much voters, it's sad. It's very sad. It's like
it is, because as I mentioned before, our vote is our voice, and if we don't practice that, then we're not practicing our civil duty. And with that being said, a scary statistic is that only 5% of the population in Bronzeville, Texas, vote during municipal elections, which are the most important, because that affects us directly and almost immediately. And when it comes down to federal and state elections, you see that 5% population rate increase to 10%.
Yeah, it is. 'Cause some people don't make that connection. I'm like, well, we got to vote for president. Yes, we got to go vote for president. But when the
Mhm.
local election, this is what you're talking about. When the local elections come about, there's like less motivation, even though that's what we need here, like instantly, directly affecting us, like immediately. And
Yeah,
that connection is not made in some people's minds. I mean, of course, vote for president, and anything else, the other races that come up nationally, of course. But what happens here locally is just as important, if not more, for us down here. So, and I
when it
wish.
comes down to
Mhm.
federal and state, you will see a domino effect. So it will affect us, but not as fast as local elections do. And so it's very important for us as a community to come together and to have these conversations and to know that voting is important. I've heard people say, well, I'm not going to vote because voting's not important. My vote won't count. But I have heard of races where they win by 10 votes, 13 votes, 5
Yeah,
votes. So, I mean, one person and their immediate family can make the difference.
yeah, voting. I think there definitely needs to be more of a drive, like a harder, maybe even a year round. Get out to vote. I remember when MTV went hard to young people. Rock the vote, and that did cause a huge voter registration, and that's when the younger people of America really started to participate a little more. So,
Yeah.
you being here, growing up here, what are some of the issues that you believe are very important that need to be addressed? And the piggyback to that is, what have you heard from either neighbors, friends, or relatives about what some of the issues should be compared to what you think they are?
So, I work in the education system, right? And a part of that is a lot about collecting data, listening, and you formulate your analysis as to what are the issues within the city. And so, with that being said, some of the things that I've heard are basic quality of life and infrastructure. So, they want more sidewalks. People want more sidewalks. People want safer and better roads. They want lighting, more lighting around the city, as well as bus shelters. So, coverage and shelter for the bus stops are also very important. We should not neglect any population. And those are, the first issues. A second thing that I've heard that is very important for us to work through and work with is working with our fire department. As our population expands and so does the city expand northbound, we do need to expand personnel and the resources. And so I am hearing the similar comments from the police department as well. I will be meeting with them next week, and so I'm willing to listen to any department that may feel or that would like to share with me of any concerns or needs. I am here for that. I definitely want to be able to represent all, but I can't do that if we aren't communicating. And so, with all that being said, I just want to narrow down the city issues are infrastructure, basic quality of life, and working with the fire and police departments.
Yeah, and we've talked about the police department. I mean, fire as well, but the police department also. That there seems to be a shortage of personnel. I don't think we have enough coverage for the entire city. And knock on wood, right now, even though it's causing delays on the police getting out to people, but it hasn't hurt us yet. And I hate that up until still, Brownsville has been the kind of city that reacts instead of being proactive. And we talked about this yesterday when it comes to a severe thunderstorm or a hurricane coming,
Yeah.
and the sandbags are only available the day before, and everybody's crowding to get their sandbags. It's like things like that got to change. You mentioned sidewalks. Very good point. A lot of neighborhoods don't have sidewalks at all. It's just a street, the curb, or a very minimal kind of grassy area to walk upon. Um,
I've even seen people in electric wheelchairs driving down the median lane, the middle
yeah,
lane, and that is very scary because that puts the person in danger. But at the end of the day, they need to get to places too, and so I understand that they will do what it takes, and if risking their life takes them there, then that's what they're willing to do, and so that's very scary. I do feel that we need to tailor to all populations. So those are some of
yeah.
the city issues that I've seen and that I've heard, mainly heard. I just don't come up with things to come up with them. I always try to grab as much data and factual evidence before I formulate my hypothesis.
Chuck says, forget about commission. You need to run for mayor. You ever thought about just going to mayor directly, bypass the commissioner seat?
Uh, well, that is so nice of him to say those comments. I'm truly flattered, but I'm going all in with this city commissioner race. It is anybody's race, but at the end of the day, I am trying and I'm listening. And I am a citizen that has, like I mentioned, I live here. I'm born and raised, and I'm raising my family. And these are also things that I suffered through. And so we have to collaborate together as a community to be able to move forward. And what are we going to do about that? Well, we're going to go out and vote. So please talk to your family and friends, have them do their research on the candidates, and yeah.
Yeah, we are looking for, I know Ben is big on this, and a lot of people are. We're looking for people to get things done, not just go in and talk about it for a year and then nothing gets done. And I know there are some things that you can call it political red tape or bureaucratic red tape, but there has to be a way where things can happen and not take forever. Like, let's discuss this. Let's figure out an answer tonight on this Tuesday. Let's tackle this problem and get it over with and fix it and move on from it.
And you know what, Manny? There are millions of cities across the United States. We do not have to reinvent the wheel, but what we can do is communicate, reach out, phone call, email, and meet with other cities that have successful models and be able to adopt that. And so that's something that I plan on doing is seeing, hey, what is working for you that can possibly work for the city of Bronzeville? And so I also do want to point that out.
Yeah, I think it's okay to look at other cities and other governments and see how they're doing things. What can we take from there to help our situation here? And definitely, that's not a shameful thing to do. Kate, Ms. Macias, why aren't you running for mayor? Another one. There you go. You know, there might be something there for you in the future if you even thought about beyond. But we got to see how you do with the commission first.
Yes, I definitely. I'm here to create a plan. First off, I'm listening, seeing what can we do. I'm talking to the city of Bronzeville and understanding how their departments work and their logistics, and then I'm reaching out to other cities and see what we can implement. And we do need to think about something of low cost, something that would tailor also to our population. So having all of those components and variables into consideration so we can be able to move forward as a city.
So when you started running, how did your family react? What kind of feedback are you getting, from the public? How has that been for you since the beginning?
When it comes down to the public, I can't say so, right? We can have these expectations and have our own beliefs, but really election day is going to be the result of how the campaign is going and how people are reacting. I am such a newcomer, but as I mentioned, I have volunteered. I've been volunteering and a part of multiple organizations for the last 8 years. And so my family is very supportive. And so Hiram is someone so kind and so supportive, and he believes in me a lot. And for that, I'm very kind to have that strong supportive system. His mother and father are also very supportive, and they were all in. So whatever help I need, I mean, we are a community, and we collaborate together and we communicate effectively, because we're a family unit. And so when you have a strong foundation at home, that also helps you to be successful in other levels. And so that was kind of the response that I got. They were like, hey, let's do it.
It's good. Now, you said, what kind of a counselor did you say you were?
I'm a licensed professional counselor.
And you deal with what kind of issues?
Yeah, so I service a high school population, and what I do is I build on skills. I do like presentations for social skills, anxiety. We talk about various mental illnesses, and just provide them and guide them to the right resources outside of school as well.
Some of that training might come in handy, you being in Brownsville politics, dealing with some of the personalities that you're going to have to deal with. And I hope that you'll know how to handle certain people. I hope you have a thick skin, because people can sling mud down here, and they don't care what they say.
That's understandable. It's politics, right? So when I got in this, I knew that there was going to be backlash, there was going to be negativity, and there's both sides to the spectrum. But which one will you decide to feed in, and which one is going to help you push forward? So there's going to be a lot of negativity, just as there much are going to be a lot of positivity. And so at the end of the day, I'm very passionate what I'm doing. I believe in what I'm doing. And so I choose to fit into the positivity. It's hard. Some days are really hard. I'll be vulnerable and I'll share that out here. But at the end of the day, I have to keep on trying, no matter what emotion I may face or feel, because at the end of the day, I'm doing this for the greater good.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. Like I said, I hope you have a thick skin, or at the very least that you're not too sensitive about things that are said left and right.
Yeah,
that happened. You've probably seen it and heard it down here.
Yeah, you can't take nothing personal. And I think that's what I love about going through a graduate and a training program in counseling. It's that relationship building and the rapport. And so voters as well, they want to be able to, the number one in any building rapport or relationship is trust. And within our community, you see a lot of mistrust happening because of the continuous corruption and the lies and the failed projects and the lack of resources and so on, right? I can go on with negativity, but nonetheless, there has been a mistrust. And I think that also tailors to the voter fatigue and the low statistic that we're seeing in voter turnout when it comes down to municipal elections.
Yeah, it is definitely a low voter turnout. It's horrible. I mean, hope that can change in the future. I think we've got some good candidates this time around. Not the usual crowd. Like I said, next week we've got your opponent will be here as well, and she'll be answering some of the same questions. What do you feel is your top priority? What is something that sticks out in your mind as something you do want to be vocal about or bring up as an issue that needs to be solved here in the city of Brownsville?
So as mentioned previously in this interview, I did talk about basic quality of life and infrastructure, right? Roads. But in my heart, the number one priority is reaching out to the fire and the police departments. And they're the ones that I want to work with first. There's a great book called The Culture Code by Daniel Doyle. And he talks about what makes a community, an organization, a culture successful. And when you look at the top tier, number one thing that everyone should focus on is safety. So tell me how strong your fire and police force is, and I'll tell you how strong your culture is.
Yeah, that sounds just about right.
Yeah. And another thing, when we look into psychology, we look at Abraham Maslow, the psychologist, and he has this hierarchy of needs. And the bottom one is going to be safety as well. And so anything that we do, whether it be in relationships or in culture and community, safety is definitely a priority. I have 2 young daughters, and I want them to grow up in a Bronzeville that is safe, and a Bronzeville that has nice roads, and a Bronzeville with economic opportunity and entertainment. So I can go on as to the many issues and how far behind we are with things, but number one priority would be that, and then moving on forward to structuring a plan for infrastructure and quality of life.
Yes, absolutely. Now let's talk about the hot topic of um, for Brownsville. It's been the last few years, and in this election, it's definitely coming out strong ever since the audit was completed regarding the Tanasca and PUB.
Mhm.
Um, your reaction when did you read the audit?
So I did read a couple about it, right? And I was very involved when it came down. I did speak before the city commission and I was very upset. I'm not one to be very vocal, but when it comes down to doing the right thing, and when I believe that, hey, you know what, by being vocal is going to help others, then by all means, I'm there. I put anything aside, any shyness, any timidness, I put all that aside, and it's like courage and bravery just comes through. And so I was very upset at that. I mean, the Tanasca report, where I've seen a lot of numbers that are thrown in, right? 114 to 118 million. I've seen 179, 129 million. Regardless, it was millions of dollars that hardworking people such as myself work for.
Yeah,
And just to see that they failed us, that's where we start breaking relationships. And that's where you see the anger in people when it comes down to losing faith in their politicians.
yeah, and it's something that it's once you that faith gets broken, and of course PUB, I think for a while was this great company, and now they're kind of getting a bad rap. And I've said this a bunch of times the last couple of weeks is that please don't insult or take it out on the hardcore, the workers, the linemen, the guys who drive the trucks and repair your traffic lights when they're out, or the power goes out in your neighborhood and they're out there. They're just trying to work hard and do their job. And what came to your mind as far as, man, I don't want this to happen again? What could have been done differently in your opinion?
Yeah, so what it comes down to is leadership. Who, this is a repercussion of several city commissioners prior to the ones that are sitting on in office, and so they're getting the backlash of it. But really, who is at fault for this result? Who was in office during the time that this project was proposed? And so for me, it's always selection of leadership, because they're the ones that are going to be asking questions to it. Some of the questions that I've asked is, and in order for me to prevent that from happening, is I like to ask a lot of questions. I'm just not a yes man, especially in this culture. I know I grew up with "tú nomás di que sí." I know you mentioned in the past that you're from Chicago, but like growing up, I would hear that "tú nomás di que sí." You just go along with it, because it is difficult to challenge ideas and challenge notions because it might upset somebody. But regardless, if I were to be in office, and something that I would do to ensure that something like that does not happen again is, one, we have to select dates as to a timeline as to when is this going to happen? When are we breaking down? When are we going to talk to so and so? When are we hiring people? It's having that timeline, right? Secondly, is holding that accountability. So putting it in the agenda every other month and saying, how are we doing with this project? Update us on this project. So we have to hold people accountable to what we say we're going to do. So that's something that I would do is timeline and accountability. Putting it on the agenda every some month and just checking up on it and seeing like, where are we at?
Absolutely, accountability. Accountability. Keep us updated. What is wrong? And as soon as something is going wrong, at some point, you cut your losses and pulls a plug, instead of, like in this case, it just money kept flowing into them. Money kept flowing into that. And do you agree with the amount that's being advertised that is going to be refunded or credited back to the 55,000 or so accounts, which is right now around $29 million is what's being put out there, and then there's another $11 million that Commissioner Cowan was on the other night, and he would like to see that money returned or added to that pot as well. Now that's the same amount, the 11 million that Commissioner De Los Santos says, the city's not going to put that money up, and he will not support that money going back to the residents. And then you've got the majority of the crowd being the citizens of Brownsville, who want the entire $179 million, say that should come back to all the residents, and period. Where do you see the actual number, or what would you like to see?
Well, the feasibility of it. You did mention earlier, we don't want this to hurt the hardworking employees from PUB, the ones who are working when it's cold, when it's raining, when our lights go out. They're the ones that are out there. And so, well, the 107 million that we are asking for, how will that hurt the employees? Will there still be a paycheck? Where the companies still run? So that is definitely, I would need to see the finance reports and see if it's feasible. Personally, I would love to see that money given back, because at the end of the day, PUB, what it stands for, it's the Public Utility Board. It's Brownsville Public Utility Board, and it belongs to the people. And if the people are the majority, and when we look at the hierarchy of our power structure, the people are at the top. So they want their money back, then we have to give them their money back. Now, how much, I would not be able to tell you, because I have not seen the finance reports on that, and I haven't researched on that. But most definitely, that would be something that I would look at. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I was going to say, and Ben kind of alludes to kind of what I'm going to say right now. The main thing is you all have to work together, or nothing will be done. So my question is, there's two kinds of people. You have agreeable people, and you have people that are not so agreeable. Yeah. The agreeable ones kind of just go with the flow and go with everything. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, okay. Then you've got the disagreeable ones, and those are the ones that usually either cause a problem or are the most heard, because they don't agree with everything and they question everything.
Yes.
Who are you? Are you agreeable? Or are you disagreeable?
I'm all about compromise. I mean, and you know that in a relationship, you have to be able to meet them in the middle. You're not going to go 100% my way or 100% somebody else's way. So we definitely have to compromise and meet in the middle as to what we can do. And so that's something that I'm willing to bring to the table. I'm willing to work with anybody, hear anybody out, share some ideas, but also advocate for a 50-50.
Okay. So some people just get it's a gut reaction, and they're like, nah, he or she, they're gonna fall in with what they call the elite crowd, and they're only gonna be out for themselves. And we really do hope that the people running now are really for the people and not for themselves. And it seems like many people have come into city government to improve their financial situation and have the inside word on property or things that are going on, and they can take advantage of that for themselves, instead of focusing on the people who live here, and including themselves, who've lived here for a very long time. So we really are hoping, and if you do get elected, that you are not one of those that gets in and all of a sudden ignores the people. It's very important to communicate. I know Roy De Los Santos, Commissioner De Los Santos, I believe he's tries to be really transparent, and if we ever want to get him on the show, all I got to do is call him and he'll say, yep, I'll be there tonight. Okay. And he'll talk, and he's willing to talk about anything and everything. And I think that's very important, to be visible, to be vocal, and,
be accessible. We talk about the mistrust. Well, how do you build relationships with someone? It's through communication and having that accessibility.
Richard Hitchcock's. What about cleaning up the valley, smelly canals or the ditches behind the Walmart in Boca Chica? That's true. The city keeps ignoring the sanitary issue and the pollution there. If I'm not mistaken, that's thought that might be a county issue, and I can't remember it. I swear it might be a county.
Last
Uh-huh.
Yeah, last Saturday they did have some people clean up that area. They were wearing yellow or orange, and I'm not sure if they were hired by Walmart to help that out, but I did see that happening. They were cleaning it up, and so, I mean, if it is definitely an issue, I'll take a look at it and I'll organize a cleanup with public health. And there's no problem with me coordinating with Roberto Garcia, who's a public health assistant director, and he can help me set up a cleanup. And so if you want to help me out with that, then by all means, that would be awesome.
Gotcha. Yeah, please, if you can find out about that, that's going to be brought up to the other existing commissioners as well. Erasmo Castro is in the house. Hey, she says, I agree with Ms. Macias. Every dime of the 179 must be returned. I'm not sure if that's exactly what you said, but that's I know you were in favor of getting the most back to the residents of Brownsville. No compromise, every time back to the people. Yes, beautification. Chuck says, as a lifelong resident, you can't be happy with all the beach closures at Boca Chica because of what Elon and SpaceX does. What's your opinion on, closing the access to the beach because of rocket activity or any of that activity going on with SpaceX? Has that gone, as far as from what you know, has that gone overboard from what they said they were originally going to do? Do you know what the agreement was?
I think I talked about safety, right? So safety is definitely a priority. I do see the reasons why they close roads, but I also feel that they need to let people know way ahead in advance, because I have seen where people make plans. They have that one Saturday to go enjoy with their family, and they never receive no notice, or they look on the page and there's nothing of important dates informing people about the closures, and they show up. They buy the bait, they take their boat, or they take all these supplies and they prepare for a whole day of the beach, and they get there and it's closed. So what type of feelings do you think a person who has planned out their whole day about to go to the beach is going to feel? They're going to feel frustrated. They're going to feel robbed. They're going to feel upset, disappointment. And so I can see where there's a lot of backlash for that. And so that's something that I would share out.
Yeah, the one problem with rocket launch is that the weather can change, which will cause tomorrow's scheduled launch to get delayed for a couple days, and now you're having a launch on Thursday or Friday instead of Tuesday, and that throws off plans for everyone. But it's just the nature of the beast when it comes to SpaceX and rocket launches, and I know it's a touchy subject when we'll call it, everybody's backyard is kind of being interrupted because somebody wants to launch rockets. And whether they oppose or like Elon Musk or not, that's beside the point. But yeah, that's a definite, and I know that's an issue for the county, if I'm not mistaken, not necessarily a city issue. And I don't know what can be done about that. That's a tricky thing. Daniela says, your data-driven approach to reform is what's best for the community. It's hard to change the whole city at once, but it's important to focus on the most concerning topics first. People safety, speed bumps. We talked about this. The bus stop covers, that seems to be taking for freaking ever. I don't understand why. Mm-hmm. It can't be. I don't believe the city's broke, so I know it's not a cost problem. I don't believe it to be. Anything, you have any ideas for that? Or is that something you can try to jump in on and get that going and find out why, without it taking another 2 years to find out why there's there's only been a small handful of these bus stops put up, and the ones that have been put up, they're already rusting and they're already deteriorating, and it's been less than 2 years already. Okay. So if you can put bus stops on your agenda.
Yeah, I am. I put on there. What is the plan? What do they have already? And if not, what do we need to do to get there?
Yeah, absolutely. What about the airport? It's in your district. How do we get the airport where it should be instead of just lip on a pig? So the airport is brand new, and yes, we love it because it's brand new. However, there's still some items that are missing from the airport. Mainly other carriers. We're considered an international airport. And for those who don't know, it's considered an international airport not because we fly to other countries, but because it's an airport that's used from Mexico. Usually, typical flights from Mexico who land, we are their first port of entry. So that makes us an international airport. But people would like to see some bigger carrier, some other destinations, more flights for that matter. Maybe some direct flights into Mexico would be nice. For a while we had Aeromexico here for a short time, and then the subsidy ended, and by that meaning even if they only sold 20 seats, the other 30 seats would get paid for by the government. Well, that ended, so they quit flying here, and then that agreement just folded. Do you
Yes,
have you been to the airport?
so I've traveled a lot, Manny, like a lot. So I do work in the education system, which means that I have spring break off, I have Thanksgiving off, I have Christmas and summer. And so most definitely I have traveled a lot. I have traveled out of our city airport, but I've also traveled a lot somewhere else, out elsewhere. So when we look at Harlingen, Harlingen has a bigger airport, and they only have about 70 to 79,000 individuals. And then Bronzeville, who has approximately 200,000 residents, we have 3 airlines in a very small airport. So I saw that the Bronzeville Herald had released an article, and they did talk about how their airport is doing well. But we do lack a lot, right? Like, we need a restaurant, we need a souvenir shop. We definitely need more airlines that are going to take us to more places and connect us around the world. And so I would love to sit down with the advisory board from the airport and just talk to them, see what future plans they have. So how we were able to entice the latest airline, I'm sorry. Have you heard about it?
Yes. Avilo.
Yes. Sorry, my husband's here. He's like writing notes. He's like, hey, he wants to come on the show too. So
you can pop his head in. We can say hi to your husband.
Hiram, come. So, I'm sorry. Yes, I would love to meet to see what plan they have for it. But when we talk about the latest airline, I mean, it's awesome. 69. Have you seen the website? Have you seen the prices?
Yes.
Okay. $69, one to LA, California, and the other one to Orlando, Florida. And so, come in, say hi. This is Manny.
Hey, how you doing?
Good to meet you.
So we're talking.
You can introduce your husband to the crowd here.
Yes, this is Hiram Lozano.
I'm a physical therapist here in Brownsville. I think I'm going on like 10 years now. I forgot. It's been a good while though. But I'm here local, and we do travel a lot. So I do a lot of our logistical planning when we travel, and I'm a very structured planner. Times, days, places to go. Northwest side of the town, we're going to do all of this. Southeast side part of the town, we're going to do all that. Mm-hmm. I kind of map it out. So I always tell Linda, having spent a lot of time in airports and at various airports around the world, kind of steal ideas and get ideas. And I think one of the main things is throughout my time, I've seen that a lot of people I grew up with or that I was around in elementary, middle school, high school, collegiate years, they seem to move to Austin. Austin seems to be a really huge Brownsville hub. So me personally, I would like to see a direct from Brownsville to Austin, and maybe that could help out the connection between, the SpaceX enterprise that they have down here and the Gigafactory for whatever reason, right? Maybe at some point they can meet up Also, I'd like to see a direct to Mexico City, because as of right now, we do have access to two major international airports, which is DFW and Bush International in Houston, IAH, which is only a 50-minute ride. I don't see why we can't go 50 minutes south to Mexico City and be at another major international hub, which would be great for commerce and whatnot. And I think it'd be great for the city, and I think it'd be a really good vacation for some people that like to kind of venture out, to get away from the norm, because Mexico City is its own individual, right? There's nothing like it in the world. We've had the pleasure of visiting many different cities, and for some reason Mexico City ranks high on our list because it's very eclectic. Of course, there's always Paris. Paris is great, but that's beside the point.
Well, we're not going to stray too far from traveling, but yes, we definitely want more of a resource and more choices. And that's what it comes down to. We live in a very vibrant with multiple industries and a lot that Bronzeville may have to offer, and we need to maximize and capitalize on that. And so we have a lot of people also for tourism during the summer for South Padre. We have people coming in from north that have left Bronzeville and are, coming in. I mean, we talk about Sombrero Fest, the abundance and the population of people that come back just to visit their family and friends. And so not having the accessibility of an airline that's affordable and that's direct does hurt us. It hinders us.
Yeah.
And so with all that being said, all we have to do is ask. So when we look at Avelo, Avelo, right? Avelo. Okay. Yeah. Avelo Airlines. What I heard was that they were the ex-CEO of Allegiant Airlines.
Right.
And so now they're the CEO of Avelo, and they sought Brownsville because of SpaceX.
Right.
So that one industry helped us entice an airline. And how many other people do not know that we're willing to give a new airline or any airline an opportunity? It's just about us asking, emailing, calling, setting up meetings and saying, hey, this is what we have to offer. Will you give us an opportunity? Can we have your support? But if we don't ask and we don't have leaders that go out there and do that, then what will we get done?
Yeah, it's all about seeking business.
I think Linda would need to definitely have to work with the Airport Advisory Board and see what kind of solutions they can come up to extend the runway. I know that's kind of been a major issue because of the location of our airport. I believe there's like a certain canal that runs around it and whatnot. I think that would allow a multitude of solutions for the airport and the city to kind of advance and take it to the place that it needs to be taken to. On not only from a touristic point of view, but also from like a logistics and commerce side. They can increase the air freight. I'm not sure if SpaceX would be willing to fly major, heavier pieces of equipment, and they can get it faster. They can kind of speed up their own process, but that's just
with a larger runway now. Brownsville can concentrate on selling cargo. Just cargo with heavier aircraft, larger aircraft, and that'll be more revenue. And then there is talk of there's plans already to expand the runway and moving it into those neighborhoods and having it clear out. So that is in the process actually, and that'll be some time before that's accomplished. Hey, listen, we'll let you run. Thanks for popping your head in. Great that you support your wife like you do. It's awesome.
Yes, he's awesome, and he's definitely a thought partner. So
yeah. I wasn't scooting him or anything. I just said, hey, if you got something else to do, you can feel free to.
Oh no worries.
Listen,
but that's our family. I mean, and then we have our two girls, and so I also want you guys to know who we are. So
Ben says, Manny, we all know nothing will get done if they don't work together. That's why we need new people willing to work together. If not, kiss Brownsville goodbye. We'll stay within the same corruption. Well, we're hoping it's not.
Yes.
And for as much as people say corruption is there, I know maybe I'm in denial, or I like to pretend it's not, or it's not as bad as some places are. But yes, to some extent, it is there, and it's nice to get a breath of fresh air and move some people on and try to get some things to actually happen.
New energy, new face, new ideas.
Yeah, definitely. So we are now at a part of the program where you get to tell us why should someone vote for you. You're in an elevator with 5,000 of your future constituents. It's a big elevator. What do you tell them?
The big elevator.
Yeah.
So most definitely I would start off by introducing myself. My name is Linda Macias, and the last 10 years I've dedicated myself to the education system. As a high school counselor, my job entails to listen to the needs of students and families. And I work with for-profits and nonprofit organizations to bring in any resource that families can utilize for success. And that's the same type of skill set that I want to offer as a city commissioner, is listening to the needs of the families in Bronzeville, Texas, specifically in District 2, and as well all of the city. And so with all that being said, I hope that I can count on your support to move Bronzeville forward and to work towards the Bronzeville that we deserve.
Chuck keeps asking, he asked it earlier too. Were you a regular on somebody else's podcast previously?
I know
visitor?
I have been on the Erasmo show. I think I went on there twice when the whole PUB situation occurred. I mean, we had to talk about it. We had to be vocal about it. And yes, so I'm willing to advocate and represent and be a voice for District 2 as well as all across Bronzeville, really. When you're a city commissioner, yes, you allocate funds for the projects that your community or your district may need, but you also have a say, so an equal vote as to the rest of the other projects that occur across the city. And so yeah.
That's great. Well, you did great, just so you know. We look forward to having you back again. If you want to come back before the May 6th, I've extended that invitation to everyone as well. Possibly even a little debate forum kind of a thing if a couple of you want to get together. I'm thinking about putting that together as well. But I do appreciate your time, spending a little bit of time with us.
Yes.
And having the people get to know you, because like I said, a lot of people have not heard of you before. And Erasmo Macias gave one of the most amazing speeches before the city commission I've ever heard. Do you remember that?
I'm not one to be out there, but man, I am so passionate. I believe in what I'm doing, and I want change, and I hope you can join me to bring about that change. And thank you so much, Manny, behind the mic, for hosting me and giving me this time and space to be able to talk to you and to your listeners. You're doing an amazing job in advocacy to grow the vote and also to educate people about the candidates. We all have to do research as to who has been involved with what and what have they done. And actions speak louder than words. So,
yeah, just keep something in mind. It's very important. Just talk to the people. Even if you got nothing to say or don't have much to say, don't be afraid to come out and say something, because that's one thing that communication is just so crucial. And screw it, I'll say it. You know, in the presidential administration, we went from, give or take, people didn't like Trump. That's fine, but he was out there talking with the press and the people all the time. 2 or 3 times a day, he was out there talking. And then with this current administration, he turns his back on the press. He doesn't want to have a press conference. He just turns away from any questions. And that says a lot. It's better to be out there. Look at Commissioner De Los Santos. He's not afraid to come on and say whatever. If he doesn't have the answer, he says, you know what? I'm looking into that. I don't have it. Or he'll contradict it. But coming out and being as transparent as possible and being as open as possible, communicating a lot, I think that'll take you a long way.
Yes, and I'm with you on that. And at the end of the day, we are public servants. We are not above anybody, and positions are not to be filled so we can gain power or any type of financial special or a personal interest. We are here to serve and move Bronzeville forward. And if someone may not have those intentions, then they shouldn't be in those positions or in candidacy. But nonetheless, I'm Linda Macias. I am running for City Commissioner District 2. I invite everybody to follow my Facebook just to see what information I'll be putting forth as we go along the election. We're coming up to 1 month before early voting. Early voting is April 24th. Election day is May 6th. The latest that you can register to vote is April 6th. Please have these conversations at home, at the dinner table, call your cousin, help people register. You can register at Cameron County Voters Registration Office. You can Google them for the information online. And Manny, before we go, I also want to give a quick announcement as to two things. The animal shelter, if you guys have the time, please follow on Facebook. The animal shelter recently, 3 weeks ago, they did hire Dr. Caldwell, who is pushing forth for a no-kill shelter. And they are extending their hours and opening up on weekends to be able to help with fostering program. So they're moving forward with some great innovative ideas and adopting models that can help with a safer rate. And then secondly, on behalf of the Parks and Rec Department, they do have a seasonal job fair. And this is perfect for that high school student that you have at home or that young adult that is attending college and needs a part-time job or a full-time job during the summer. They are hosting a seasonal job fair on March 25th from 10 to 11 a.m. It is going to be located in downtown, the Rec Center, which is located at 1338 East 8th Street. And so some of the jobs that are up are basket room attendant, pool technician, a pool instructor supervisor, a swimming instructor, a recreation leader supervisor, and a recreation leader. So they also have programs for kids. And so if this can help out anybody, I encourage you to go out and apply. And with all that being said, thank you, Manny, for your time. And we will be talking soon.
Definitely will be. Everyone, thank you for your participation tonight. Again, if you're in District 2 and you're considering a new vote, please give Linda Macias a listen. Check out her page. If you have any questions, I'm sure she's open to receiving your messages and comments on her page.
Yes.
May 6th is Election Day. Don't forget early voting if you're going to be out of town. Starts April 24th, you said?
Yes.
Right?
April 24th. The sooner the better.
Yeah, and that goes right up to like a couple days before Election Day. Doesn't that expire? Early voting ends May 4th or something like that?
Yes.
That weekend, something of that weekend. I'll get the dates, everything, and I'll post for you guys.
I know I have requested for the dates as well as designated poll locations. They have not emailed me back, but I will work on that. And also, I'm going to circle back around to two things is the cleanup behind Walmart as requested by Richard. And then the second one is to ask for bus stops. So I'll get an answer to you by next week. And I can go ahead and send it to you through message. So you can go ahead and announce it through your podcast. Okay.
That'd be great.
Hi, beautiful.
Oh, there's a little one.
Yes. My motivation right here.
There you go.
Okay. Well, we'll be seeing you later.
All right. You have a great night. Everyone, thanks for participating tonight. Vote for Mom. That's right.
Linda Macias.
All right, very nice.
You guys have a good
one.
Have
a good night, everyone. Linda Macias, vote is May 6th. We'll talk to you guys later. Next Sunday, we've got Katy Presas, and then I'm sure shortly thereafter, we're going to have Ernesto Lopez, who's also running for commissioner. And I'll get that information to you as soon as possible. Going offline for a little bit, but I'll be back in a little bit for you know what. If you know, you know. Talk to you later.